please take a seat. We're about to have our star attraction of the evening, and I'd love for everybody to be focused as we bring up our guest speaker today. And I want to say that I have worked with a lot of crypto OGs. I started at BitMEX, and you all know Arthur Hayes, I'm sure. And I worked at Shapeshift. You all know Eric Voorhees. I worked at Gemini, Winklevoss twins. And I can tell you that my favorite OG in crypto is this guy right here. He's a genuinely nice guy. And that just doesn't exist in the OG crypto world. So please put your hands together and welcome our star of the evening, Shibtoshi, as well as Aaron from Altcoin Daily. Woo!
Welcome everybody. We're finally about to learn about the man behind the mask and his very interesting products. Shib, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good time?
Yeah!
Good to be here.
So we first met when we did a space together on one of my spaces, and this is actually the first time we're meeting in real life, and it's good to meet you. It's a little bit intimidating, you know, with the mask and the bodyguards.
Oh, they're harmless. Just don't press the line.
Do you like when people come up to you at conferences or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. Well, I'm a very social person. I'm more than happy to shake hands and chat, you know, as long as everybody remains respectful, you know, no harm.
For sure. So I understand that you have SquidGrow, which is it correct to think of SquidGrow as a meme coin? And then there's SilentSwap, which is a product, you know, just bursting with utility. Or how would you define the two?
So SquidGrow was conceptualized in June of 2022, and we started as a meme, but we had very, very early interest in developing utility. And obviously that's taken a little time to build that, but I would refer to us in a proper term as a meme utility coin. And essentially SquidGrow is the center of our ecosystem, with our utilities kind of feeding revenue into our token in the forms of buyback and liquidity injections.
I understand, or this is what I want to know. I understand the two products, but I want to understand your why. Like, why build something like what? I think of you as doing pretty well in crypto. You didn't have to, you know, jump in and start building products. You know, what led you to first start SquidGrow and then move into SilentSwap?
I'll give you a prime example. So my best friend's here with me tonight, Huntsman, and I got into crypto in 2011. My friends were a little later getting into it. And around the time that they saw my lifestyle start changing substantially, everybody took notice in crypto, started trying to do due diligence and jumping into all kinds of projects. Without, you know, doing any kind of research, they were just getting rugged and, you know, honey-potted left and right. So over the period of some time, my friends kind of twisted my arm a little bit and kind of started convincing me that, you know, I not only can do it better, but I can give my friends and family a safe place to invest their money. And, you know, with some pressure from my buddy, the Huntsman, I decided that I was going to launch SquidGrow. And obviously in the early stages, I didn't know my community. I didn't know all the followers that I have now. It was about my friends and my family and providing them a safe place to invest their money, to give everybody kind of the same opportunity that I was exposed to. And that's essentially how SquidGrow came into existence.
And then to move into SilentSwap, which I understand is a cross-chain DEX aggregator, private, non-custodial.
Yeah, so I refer to it as a privacy cross-chain aggregator that is non-custodial, decentralized, and trustless. So the non-custodial aspect is the biggest selling point to me, because there's a lot of competition out there in the space, but everybody utilizes APIs and centralized exchanges, so not your keys, not your crypto. So you're essentially transferring your assets to somebody else's custody, and there's a risk associated with that. So, you know, one of the major issues in crypto is, you know, everything is on the blockchain. So when you have these big wallets, you know, people not only dust you and try these malicious attacks, but even when you're just trying to do something as simple as send your friend some crypto, it's tracked. And then when your friend sends that crypto to an internal address, it's tracked. And then every address that internal address interacts with is linked to everything together.
Everything's tracked.
Everything's tracked. So, you know, I wanted to come up with a way that we could do something on a privacy level that is harder to track and non-custodial and trustless. And essentially, that's how SilentSwap was conceptualized. Obviously, it took some time. In the very beginning stages, when we started doing our research into this, we were told it couldn't be done. I was talking to a competitor, talking actually about an acquisition. And I was looking to acquisition one of my competitors, but the competitor they utilize the API method. They utilize Monero. And I didn't like the way that they operated. I actually had personally tested their platform, and I moved a little bit of Bitcoin through them, and they advertised 20, 30 minutes, and I didn't see my Bitcoin for 3 hours. When I started doing my due diligence into the
scary?
platform.
3 hours waiting for your
Yeah,
Bitcoin?
I mean, absolutely, especially for the amount of money that I was moving around. And, I should have did my due diligence before I used the platform, but everybody was talking about it, so I'm like, okay, it's got to be trustworthy, right? And then, 2.5 hours later, I finally get into the support chat, and I'm like, yo, like, where's my Bitcoins at? Like, so there was an issue with the Bitcoin, with the exchange. But anyway, I decided that we could do it better. Everybody told us it couldn't be done, and we were introduced to Secret Network and some great developers, and we were able to actually build this app. And it's something that I'm very, very happy about and very proud of.
So you use secret tech for SilentSwap, correct?
Absolutely. It's the backbone of SilentSwap.
How is it working with SilentSwap? How long have you been working with them?
Oh,
I mean, this is their event
Yeah.
combined with, you. So be
hang on.
careful.
What was the question? I might have missed that.
How long have you been working with SilentSwap?
SilentSwap?
Oh, sorry, with
Secret.
Secret, sorry.
So we've been in contact with them for, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to just say several months. It's been a little bit of time.
It's better to keep it secret.
Thanks.
And so what is like the relationship of SilentSwap to Squid Grow?
So as I said a little earlier, SilentSwap is one of our utilities, and all of our utilities are revenue generating, and percentages of the revenue that we generate on these platforms feed back into the chart in the form of a buyback and liquidity injection. But in full transparency, as I've said, I'm obviously funding my project out of pocket, have been from day one. So these revenue generating applications is how I start to actually pay myself back as well, because we do have a tax on our token, but 100% of that goes into our liquidity pool. That's how we keep our nice fluffy liquidity to market cap ratios, which is very important. But the other aspect of that is the percentage that I indicated earlier. There's percentages that will go back into the chart.
Okay. So when people use SilentSwap, some of that goes back into like the Squid Grow treasury?
No, not the treasury. Well, so there is a percentage that goes to the fee wallet for SilentSwap, and that fee will be then transferred to the treasury wallet where we will initiate the buy. So all the buybacks that I've ever done for the project originate from the treasury wallet, and it will be the same, yeah.
So with SilentSwap, say I had Solana and I wanted Ethereum, I could use SilentSwap and it would transfer it, or basically give me Ethereum where I keep custody of my coins and it's totally private.
We actually aren't currently supporting Sol, but all EVM.
EVM.
All EVM, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's essentially how it works. If you have one asset, so I'll give you an example. So one of the unique aspects of SilentSwap is, aside from everything we've already talked about, is so let's say you have $16,000, right? You have $16,000 in wallet A, and you want to move that across multiple wallets. On our platform, you have the ability to split that $16,000 up to 16 different wallets, 16 different blockchains, 16 different assets. I mean, all in one platform. The competitors don't do that. It's wallet A to wallet B.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, I think this is a cool product, but building this in the U.S., even though we just had it seems like the U.S. is really opening up their their stance on crypto, but are there challenges to building it in the U.S., or how do you think the U.S. feels about it?
So I know from my legal opinion that we just recently got here in the United States that we are completely compliant, so I have no concerns in regards to that. But if anything changes in the near future, there is no application that I would build that is worth my freedom. So I would do my very best to make sure that we are in complete compliance. I don't even want to tiptoe the line.
That makes sense to me. So the folks at home or in the audience, they're hearing about SilentSwap. They're interested in using SilentSwap. Where are we with that? Or what, like, you were telling me it's going to be sooner rather than later where folks at home could use that.
Absolutely. So SilentSwap is an audit with Hacken and Surtech. I am happy to report that we got a perfect score through Hacken of a 10
Woo!
on our application.
Perfect score.
Perfect score. So when the
It's not easy, somebody said.
No, it's not. So when the report first came out, we were 9. Obviously, in my pursuit of perfection, I was like, how can we get this to a 10? They made a couple minor suggestions, and we went back to not to the drawing board, but went back to the GitHub and made those changes, and we also made some upgrades to it too, based on the recommendations. So I don't give timelines. I'm not known for that, but sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later. Yeah. Now, so you first, or SquidGrow itself, first got on my radar, I don't know, it was like 6-7 months ago when we did the space together. But I feel like even through NFT NYC, which I know you're sponsored, you're the main sponsor for the Karate Combat match coming up. Like, I feel like SquidGrow is really like making a name for itself this year. Is that something that was a goal of yours?
Absolutely. You also forgot Dubai as well.
And Dubai, of course.
Our presence in Dubai. Yeah. So now, one of the struggles that I had in the early days is obviously I'm anonymous. I don't show my face, right? I'm sitting here in a gold mask, right? Sorry. And a lot of my original team members were also anonymous, so it made it very hard to actually do these events and show face and shake hands and make these connections. Now that the team has grown in a manner that it has, we have the ability to do that because we have, everybody that's showing face. We got Michael, we got Tina, we got CB, we got Slayham, we got
good team.
All of our developers, great team. And, now we can actually go and show a force. I've got the financial backing to, essentially do these takeovers that we're doing and, show a presence and, make these connections. But yes, so in early January, or actually on New Year's, I said 2024 was going to be the year that SquidGrow is remembered for its utilities. We've been building utilities for almost 2 years now, and we're going to start unloading those. And in correlation with that, obviously, we got to ramp up our marketing efforts and start spreading awareness of what we're doing and start talking about it. So this is one of those situations.
Speaking of you wearing a mask, I just think there's got to be a whole set of challenges, like what is the hardest part?
Don't even know.
Don't even know. What is the hardest, like the one thing, just the most annoying or hardest thing about wearing a mask, and then what's something you like about it? Because obviously you continue to choose to do it.
I think so I'll tell you a story. The first Secret Network event, I sat down, I did a fireside chat with Megan, and as soon as I sat down on the couch, my left eye started fogging up, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm good. But I got nervous, right? So we're doing our fireside chat, and then my right eye started fogging up, and at that point, I couldn't see anything, hardly. So I got extremely nervous. So to answer your question, I need a damn fan in this thing is what I need. But I use all that scuba diving stuff. I use the scuba diving stuff, but I guess with in certain situations with humidity, body temperature, it's a problem. But to answer your question, probably the fog of the eyes is probably biggest. As far as a positive, I don't really see a particular positive. I'll tell you what. A lot of the time in these pictures, I'm sitting there smiling and behind my mask, but you can't tell anyway.
You can't tell. Like I said, a little bit intimidating, but we don't know you're smiling back there. With this Karate Combat tournament coming up, I just saw the pit. SquidGrow, the colorful, like the most prominent sponsor on the pit. It's not only the fighters, it's also the IFC influencer fight, which in the crypto community, that gets a lot of eyes from the crypto community. We just heard that Joe Rogan is most likely attending the fight itself. I'm sure he'll be taking pictures. People will be taking pictures of him. How awesome would it be if Joe Rogan posts a picture, or somebody posts a picture of Joe and you see SquidGrow in the background there?
That would be the equivalent of an Elon Musk tweet, in my personal opinion. I mean,
that's what I'm looking for.
Doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah. All right, applause break. We like it. As SquidGrow and SilentSwap gets more into the public eye, as you're making your big push to really get yourself out there, what is one of the biggest misconceptions you think people have that you could set straight?
In what regard?
In either SquidGrow as a company, what you do, anything like that.
Well, I can tell you a major hurdle that we had to overcome in the beginning. Obviously, the first part of our name is Squid, right? So everybody instantly thinks of Squid Games,
Yeah.
not the TV show, the very negative cryptocurrency that was that epic rug that,
It was the famous video where it just drops.
Absolutely. So obviously I knew that going into this, right? When I decided to pick the name, I could have named it whatever I wanted to, bottle water, an Inu, whatever. But that name actually had meaning to me in 21, when I first actually started thinking about names. Squid Games, the TV show, was real popular, and also there was another cryptocurrency, Evergrow token, that I was a big investor in. So I kind of took two positives in the market at that time and put them together. That's how we came up with the name. But in the early days, the squid part of our name was a major hurdle, I believe. And obviously with time and as we better establish ourselves and people are able to see firsthand kind of our work ethics at Squid Grow, I think that kind of falls away to the wayside. Mm-hmm. And they actually start realizing like what we are actually about.
Mm-hmm.
We have good fundamentals, in my personal opinion. Trust is something that's earned; it's not given. And I think with time, the masses will see that.
Those are the ideals of Squid Grow. Trust is something earned, not given, and then obviously non-custodial, privacy, things like that. This is my question. We see these. You're an interesting guy, Shib, and we have these figureheads in crypto. Very, very popular figureheads like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, Hayden Adams of Uniswap. Do you want to be known as like a figurehead like that?
I think the best way that I could describe it is
it might happen one way or another.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I absolutely could. Squid Grow for me is going to be my legacy, right? So my money is obviously left to my family. When that's all said and done, my family will remember me. But what's the mark I'm going to make on the bigger masses, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously, for me, what we're trying to do here and build and all the positives that we're doing, Squid Grow is going to be my legacy. I'm going to be sure to build it into that. And, I plan on making my mark in this space in a very positive manner.
And you talk about wanting to be known for this, and it's important to you that, people understand you're doing it for the right reasons. Could you talk more about the audits that your apps have received? Because I know that you've done, many audits, more than many projects, and that is something that's a green flag that this is safe to use. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just including the SilentSwap audit, right now we have 13 overall CertTech audits and 1 hacking audit. So every application that we put out to the public, obviously we make sure to check it for security.
13 CertTech, 1 hacking. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, well, it's better safe than sorry, right? So now obviously that's 13 separate audits on 13 separate applications, but we definitely have to, a problem in this space is, these developers, they're doing white label stuff, they're not checking the code when they take possession of it, and they just push it out to the masses. And as a result of that, their community gets affected by a bad actor. Somebody put a backdoor in there, whatever it might be, And obviously, we're developing everything in house, and obviously trust my developers. But I think it's best to send it to somebody that specializes in that, to just do a double check on it, make sure that everything's safe and secure. So every application that we put out to the public, we ensure that it has substantial audits on it that are of good quality and no vulnerabilities before it ever see the light of day.
How do you think of building a privacy app? I only ask, the detractors will always say, well, why do you need that? What are you, like a criminal? Like, why you want to hide your transactions? Like, what would you say to those people?
My rebuttal to that is, would you want the entire world to see who you're sending Venmo transactions to, or where you're spending your, where you're using your credit card at? I mean,
it's always private when I pay my friends back on Venmo. It's always private.
Well, I mean, absolutely. Well, I think
important to me. I'm saying, you're
absolutely, right. Absolutely. I do think there's some ways that you can kind of show your transactions if you choose to on Venmo. But and the point is, you wouldn't want, a bad actor to see, where you're spending your money at or who you're sending your money to. And I think that same level of privacy should be given on the blockchain. So, SilentSwap plans to take some of that aspects back, because at the end of the day, you don't want, I'll give you an example. Okay, in New York, Slum Doge Millionaire, which is a good friend of mine, he went to a pizza place in New York.
This guy made $1 million on Dogecoin.
$3 million.
And then he didn't sell.
$3 million. He made $3 million. Not to put you on blast, buddy. But so we went to a pizza place in New York, and he paid for Dogecoin, or he paid for pizza with Dogecoin. Anybody tracking now? Obviously, Slum Doge is doxed. He shows his face. But in a situation like mine, if there was a place that took Shiba Inu and I decided, I'm going to spend some SHIB at this particular food restaurant, I'm undoxed. If somebody's watching my wallet and they see that I'm interacting with the pizza parlor or whatever else it is, that puts me at that location at that point in time. All kinds of negative things can happen. Not only could I get doxxed, but somebody could obviously track me back to my family. There's all kinds of bad things that could happen. So, in that particular instance with him, when he paid for that pizza, at that point in time, anybody watching his wallets, it told the whole world that that's where he was at that moment. And I think that, everybody should have a certain level of privacy. So I think SilentSwap is, going to give that back to the masses. And that's one of the main reasons why we built this application, so we can kind of reclaim some of our privacy.
Mm-hmm. Reclaim some of our privacy. I like that. Was it always your idea since the very beginning? You said you started SquidGrow to kind of help your friends who were asking you about crypto, give them a safe product so they didn't face all these problems they were having. Was SilentSwap always in the original vision? Or how'd you come to that?
No, it wasn't. So obviously, in the very beginning, we wanted to build utilities. So we've kind of evolved in the process. Like the first utility we decided we were going to build was SGX, our decentralized perpetual exchange. And I think one of the next utilities we built was a bridge and then a liquidity locker. But SilentSwap kind of came out of a need. And I won't get into particular specifics, but one of my wallets were tracked to one of my family members, and their internal address was doxed.
Ooh.
And it was a wallet that I did not know that was being watched. And then all of a sudden they start getting dusted and attacked, and I started realizing the problem. And then aside from that, splitting up your wallets. If you have a big wallet and you want to split it, your really only option to essentially wash those assets is send it to an exchange. But what you're doing is you're doxing that internal address. So therefore, any other addresses that interact with that internal address, you're doxing you're doxing your whole cluster. So, talking to my whale friends and the same issues that we all are experiencing as far as splitting up wallets into smaller wallets, obviously minimizing our risk by having assets in a single place. I was trying to figure out how we could actually have a privacy layer. How can we reclaim some of this privacy? So I started looking around. I found some competitors. I didn't really like the way that those competitors operated because they're centralized exchange-based API.
You thought you could build a better mousetrap, as they say.
I knew I could build it better. I knew I could build it better. And, and the fact that they lit the fire under me and said that they were 1,000,000% sure that it could not be done, let me show you.
So just in brief, to sum it up, why is SilentSwap the best?
Well, in my personal opinion, we are non-custodial, trustless, and non-custodial and trustless is a major aspect of that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to want to, if we didn't know each other, would you want to send any amount of money to me in good faith if I said, you know what, you send it to me and I'm going to send it to this address over here? Or, are you going to trust me with that level of trust?
It's a little bit of a risk, to be honest.
It's definitely a risk. So, in my personal opinion, if you retain control of those assets every step of the way, that's probably a better option, right? You'd feel more comfortable about that, correct?
Yeah.
So that was a major aspect in SilentSwap. The user maintains control over their assets every step of the way. And to the best of our knowledge, it's never been done. So that's why I go on a limb and say this is the first of its kind. We were a first mover.
Very interesting. And like you said, sooner rather than later, SilentSwap will be out. Is it an easy user experience? What's that like? Is there any fees or?
Yeah, so there is a fee. So starting out for a promotional period, we have a 0.5 fee, 0.5%, right? And I'll give you an example. So one of our competitors moving $10,000 on their platform, they charge you $600, right? On our platform, it's going to cost you $100, maybe $200 depending on slippage, right? But we're not getting that entire $100. So let's say if the fee was $100, we're getting $50 out of that. The other $50 is the liquidity provider fee.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it faster, cheaper, it's a better user experience, and you retain access of the assets every step of the way. In my personal opinion, it's far superior than anything out there right now.
It seems like SilentSwap takes up most of your time, but is it a trade-off between SilentSwap and SquidGrow, or is it they're both the same?
But one and the same.
One and the same.
SilentSwap benefits SquidGrow, and SquidGrow is like the center of our universe, as I said. So SquidGrow comes first. These applications that we're building obviously brings value to our community, And so I said very early on, I plan to build something that is self-sustaining, something that is revenue generating, self-sustaining, and that cannot be toppled by any one whale or group of investors. And what I meant by that is when our applications are out and about and they're generating revenue, it's not going to matter if somebody's buying Squid Grow token or not, because based on the revenue that we're generating, it's going to go into the chart. So we're going to pump the chart for everybody that's currently holding, right?
Whoa.
So
That's awesome. And what was I going to ask? It was, I know you don't like to speculate on the future, but like, what would success, could you say anything about what success would be like for you in a year or two?
we will have a self-sustaining ecosystem full of applications that are useful, that are mass adopted, and adding value to my community.
And then something I did notice also is it does seem like you and the team have you really try hard and put in the effort to have a good relationship with your community. It seems like your community, the Squid Grow community, is important to you. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, without a community, you have nothing, right? I mean, from day one, community was key. That was the key of our focus, and that's why at Squid Grow, unlike some of the other projects that are out there, if our community has questions, we're there to answer them. I'm extremely reachable. My entire team's extremely reachable, and I've had friends that were invested in projects that had questions, and they could not get a hold of anybody to answer questions. And I've not personally experienced that, but I've had some friends experience that. So with Squid Grow, we obviously pay attention to the finer details when it comes to our community. If they have any questions, concerns, thoughts, feedback, suggestions, our DMs are always open. But we never DM first, by the way.
Really? So if somebody wanted to get into Squid Grow or try out SilentSwap or just kind of get more information, like what would you tell somebody totally new, hey, I want to get involved, like where should they start?
I would suggest X.
Your X account.
My X account, yeah, Squid Grow. Squid_grow. Pretty simple. Gold check, hard to miss. There's a couple of impersonators. Based on our X account, you can find all of our socials. You can find our verified Telegram account. Again, there are some impersonators, but we are blue check verified on Telegram. Also on YouTube, we're verified as well. So we try to verify all of our official stuff because we do understand that there are people, acting in bad faith, trying to replicate, trying to copy, try to scam. So we do the best that we can when it comes to that.
Anything else to say on SilentSwap itself? This is a product that's going to come out soon. Is there something else we should touch on with SilentSwap?
No, I'm super excited for it. This is the one application. So when you conceptualize an idea and you decide you want to build something, oftentimes you run into roadblocks. Things can't be done the way that you want them to be done. You got to sidestep. You got to do workarounds. You got to change direction completely. When I told my developers this is how I wanted SilentSwap to be, that's exactly how it is. We had to change nothing at all, and I am extremely proud of that. For the first time ever in all of our developments, everything that I wanted in an application and a utility, we've delivered on that. From speed, fees, the way that it works, non-custodial, trustless. It's something that I'm extremely proud of, and I couldn't have done that without my developers, Cal and Sup Doggy. They are great, brilliant minds, and I owe it to them for that.
Shibtoshi, thank you so much for joining me on this Fireside Chat today. I want to give you an opportunity to just give your final thoughts to the audience, both here and at home. So yeah, just what do you want to leave the people with? Obviously, you're going to be around the Karate Combat fight. You're sponsoring 2 fighters, but give us the final thoughts for the folks at home.
I just have a simple statement. It's not necessarily a final thought. Trust should be earned, not given. Let me show you.
Trust should be earned, not given. Let me show you. Round of applause for Shibtoshi, everybody.